Hi guys, my name is Shahab, and in this video I want to talk about how to store secrets properly in an ASP.NET Core application using Azure Key Vault. It's a simple application. It contains a configuration, normal configurations that you might always have in your applications. It's very normal to have such kind of configurations in your app, so with a section name and a bunch of properties. One property here, though, is account key, which is like a secret that we need to store it somewhere. First, I want to show you how to store it properly in your development machine. You should know that we have the app settings.json, and then we have app settings.environment specific JSON files. In this case, the development one, and that I already stored the configurations in here, specifically also the account key. And in my app settings.json, I also have that section in here. What happens in ASP.NET Core is that the configuration manager loads first the app settings.json and then overrides whatever value is in the app settings development.json or QA or production.json files, depends on your environment. So to just see how it works, let's just run this API. And here the API is running. Here I prepared like some HTTP files just to run the query. And if I run this one, you will see that it loads the development account key for me. And that's because in my launch settings of the application, I mentioned that this is the development environment. If we just change it to production, where it might be the case in your production, in your real environments, then it will load the production configuration here. In this case, I don't have any production specific JSON, but this generic app settings.json file that contains the production account key for me. So again, if I run this in here, you will see that this time it is fetched from that key, because my environment is not the development environment anymore. .NET CLI comes with an API for storing user secrets when developing applications on your local environment. And one thing that you should keep in mind, that you should never ever put any key in your app settings files and put it in a source control. This is like never. So what we can do is like to open the terminal here, and you need to go to the root of the project that you want to have user secrets enabled for it. So then run .NET user secrets in it. What it does is that in your project, it creates a user secret ID that is kind of a link to where the .NET CLI stores the user secrets in your project. So this is a good linking your project to that storage. Okay, now I'm going to add the account key that I have using .NET user secrets. So I'm going to say .NET user-secrets set. I'm going to set, and I'm going to specify the section Cosmos DB, and with a colon you could create nested levels. So here account key, and then I'm going to specify the value for that account key from user secrets. And when you set this value, no matter which configuration and environment you're running, this will be loaded on top of all of those configurations that you have. So after this is set, I'm gonna run the API, and let's see how it will affect our configuration. Okay, cool. The API is running. Let's now grab the configuration, and you will see that it is account key from our user secrets that we are fetching from there. So far, so good. But now we want to connect our application using Azure Key Vault and store our secrets in a Key Vault. Okay, now let's add Azure Key Vault to our application. So to achieve that, you could go to Azure portal and create a Key Vault directly there, or you could use one of the infrastructure as code tools to provision and automate that resource. If you don't know how to do that, you could check my video about Bicep. I described there how you could provision resources using infrastructure as code tools. But for now, I'm just creating it manually. So I'm going to Azure Portal, Key Vaults, and then click on Create. Here I'm choosing a resource group. Let's see this sample one. Let's give it a name, kv-demo-config, and I'm using North Europe. Yeah, and I'm using the standard tier here. There's also the premium tier, but I think for our purposes, the standard should be fine. And there are other configurations like soft delete, days to return deleted values, and all of those things. I just skip those things. For access configuration, I come to this one maybe in a later video, or maybe if we had time, I'll describe them here as well. But for now, I'm just skipped all of these things. I'm adding a tag here. I think I have a policy that I need to add some tags in here, and yeah, that should be enough. Review and create, and then let's create the key vault. Here is our key vault. What we need for the key vault is just the vault URI, because key vault does not provide you with any connection strings, because that could be like a chicken and egg problem. So you would need like to now store the connection string and the secrets to connect to the key vault in a secure way. Then you are using the key vault to secure all of those secrets in your application, right? It uses the authentication, Azure AD authentications. You have these access policies, and you have the access control IAM roles that you could define there. This access policies is the old way to achieve that. You could give permissions to specific users or service principals or managed identities. In general, any security principle that exists in Azure AD, you could give access there. And the access control IAM is also like the modern way to do that. You could create a role assignments there, and to achieve these things, to give users the permissions to read or write the secrets or certificates or anything there. So I have this key vault reader in here, and I could just assign this role to a member. In this case, I'm just gonna assign it to myself. Select and review and assign, and then review. I'm changing the role to, yeah, let's just do that. And here in the access policies, you'll see that it is not available. The access configuration for this is role-based. To add or manage access policy, go to the access control IAM page. That was where we were. And here in the access configuration, the reason that it is not available is because we have this Azure role-based access control activated, and not vault access policies. This access policies is the vault access policies. So it is a best practice. Let's do that. And for our demonstration now, for my machine to be able to connect to this key vault and work with this key vault, I need to have my machine authenticated against that. That I already did that one. So and also, if you don't know how to achieve that, you could check my video about Azure CLI and how you could authenticate your machine against your Azure environment. So I just copied this value. We need it. I'm gonna put it in app settings configuration somewhere in here. For example, you could also put it in app settings and development based on your requirements. So vault URI would be this value. We need it. Okay, then back to the code. Here, the first thing is you need to add a NuGet package to be able to connect to Azure Key Vault, and also set up the ASP.NET Core environment for that one. For that, you need Azure extensions dot secrets. I think Azure extensions dot secrets. Yeah, ASP.NET Core, Azure extensions, ASP.NET Core configuration secrets. I'm adding that to my configuration demo application. After the NuGet package is added, I'm gonna now use that to read the configuration builder.configuration.get connection string. It would be our vault URI, and if it is something vault URL, right? Then we are going to connect add the key vault to our configuration stack here. That add Azure key vault. And here you will see that the first argument, there are like several overloads. The one that we are going to use is accepting a URI. So I'm gonna use a URI and passing the vault URL. And the second argument, it accepts a token credential. Uh, this token credential class, it has lots of implementations, and it could be used to get a JVT token against Azure AD and passes that JVT token to the Azure environment, and in the specific to check whether this user or this security principal has access to this Azure Key Vault that we are trying to connect. And since my machine is authenticated against Azure with my user, then it gets automatically token and passes the token, and we will be authenticated. So to achieve that, I'm using new default Azure credential, and this token credential these providers, like not the token credential itself, but the provider. Sorry, I used the wrong hint. I wanted to find it in here. Default Azure credential. They exist in the Azure.identity NuGet package. Okay, so that's it. Let's go to our Key Vault and let's create a secret there. Generator import. And I'm going to create it manually. It would be my Cosmos DB. For the Key Vault to have these nested configurations, you need to use double dash to create a nested configuration. So it would be Cosmos DB account key, and then I'm saying account key from Key Vault. And we don't need to specify content type at the moment. You could set activation date and expiration date. And just bear in mind that if you set an activation date and you want it to be immediately active, just would be better just to have it like from yesterday because of these time zone specific things and all of those things. But we omit it we skip it for the moment. And we have the enabled, yes, no, and the tags. And let's create the Oh, my user does not have the permission, so okay. I'm going to give permissions to my user and we'll be continue with the demo afterwards. I am giving the Key Vault administrator role to myself. It might take some time for the Azure to get all of this propagated to the servers and things, and the JVT token to be working. We will create the secrets afterwards. Yes, and the secret is created, so we have the secrets here after we gave the administrator permission. And now let's go to our application. Let's run our application now. Now if I go to my HTTP file to file a request against the API, here you will see that the account key from Key Vault is fetched. Let's go here. I'm gonna change the value of that one, like provide a new version and enter the secret second version of account key, and let's create that one. And now if I run this again, you will see that it gets only the previous version. So to be able to add like a refresh mechanism to how the key vault is reading, we need to pass another argument. Here it is Azure Key Vault configuration options. And here we have this reload interval that it accepts a time span. You need to be careful about this time span because every time it's gonna query the key vault, it will cost you something. So for the demonstration of this video, I'm just using 5 seconds, but you might need to consider another value here. So it uses a polling mechanism to fetch the changes from the key vault. So I'm changing it. Let's run the app again. We're going to fire the request again against the API. You will see it is getting the second version of the account key. If we go and provide a new version, let's say it is like the third version of account key, and I'm gonna save that one. Okay, if we run the request again, you will see that it now gets the third version of the account key from the key vault. So it automatically refreshed the configuration for us. It is recommended that you don't share the key vault between different environments or different applications. So like having separate Azure Key Vault for development and production environments and also for different applications. Although there is like a way to share one key vault between different environments and applications, it is not recommended though. So there is this Azure Key Vault configuration options accepts a parameter, has a parameter called manager. And here this manager is, if we go to its definition, it is of type Key Vault Secret Manager, that you could provide your custom Key Vault Secret Manager and override those things. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to create sample Key Vault Manager. And I'm going to replace this code with something like that. You need to inherit from either the interface or from the default Key Vault Secret Manager and override the load and the get key things with replacing the prefix. So I'm passing a prefix, and then I need to then that prefix will be it just loads every configuration key that starts with this prefix and also replaces that prefix and also replaces the double dashes that we had there with the key delimiter of the configuration options, which is colon. So if I go back in my configuration program here, I could say it used the new sample prefix key manager and provide the prefix. The prefix here for me is the application name plus the environment name. So I'm passing this value. It will be then configuration demo slash colon environment name. So how it would look like is that if I go again to my Key Vault secrets, I'm gonna create a new one. It would be like configuration demo colon development sorry, double dash configuration demo double dash development double dash cosmos db double dash account key, and we're going to say app dev from Key Vault, and I'm creating this one. And now what we need to do is to provide a manager here with this manager that we created. As I showed here, it is with the prefix double dash, and in my application you will see that I also have the application name double dash environment name, and that's how we also put this in here. Configuration name, configuration demo is my application name, the development environment, and that one. And if I run the API, you will see the request to the configuration will returns the configuration not from this key, but from this one. And in the meantime, if I provide a production version, configuration demo --production --cosmos db --count key f underline production account key, and I'm creating that one. Let's be double check that looks the same. Yes. Okay. Now that the application is running, let's run it in the dev environment. You will see that it is returning the app dev from Key Vault, not the third and second configuration that we had for the other one. And if I stop the application, change it to run in the production environment, production, no typo, hopefully, production, yeah. And saving that and running the app again, then it should return us the one in the production. But as I said before, this is not a recommended way. If you have development environments and production environments and also different applications, use separate key vaults for them to provide the highest level of security that is required there. So when the app is running again, let's fire the request, and you will see that now we have this app production account key in here achieved. If you want to know any Azure resource, how much you need to pay for using them, in this case, we are going to check the key vault. You could always go to Azure pricing calculator and add your service and check how much it costs. For example, here per 10,000 operations, you will pay 3 cents. Also be sure that you're choosing the right region that you want to deploy your resources. So because the prices might differ. Also here you have the currency that you need to choose. I'm choosing euro, and here you will see like this is the amount that I need to pay for 10,000 operations, and also like for advanced operations and standard, premium, or certificate renewals and all of those things, it is declared in here. So this is how you could understand how much you need to pay for your resources. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know, and have a nice day and enjoy coding.